Yes, sir. We are back. We are back. We are, what is it? We are 3 weekends away from no more football. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about football anyway, okay? Listen, we're going to buckle up. We're going to talk about some things we talked about last week. We're going to talk about some news that came out today. We're going to talk about some things today. So buckle up, get your snacks. Make sure that you have your drinks ready because we're going to be here. All right. So welcome back to the Podcast Anvil Show. Sammy, bring us in.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Anvil Show.
Intercepted! Marlon Jackson! Marlon's got it! We're going to the Super Bowl! We're going to the Super Bowl! Marlon Jackson with the interception! He picked off Tom Brady!
The sickest Indianapolis Colts podcast. It's gonna be sick.
Yes, sir. It will be sick. And before we get into that, let's go ahead and pay some bills. DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, makes every playoff moment feel bigger. DraftKings has your back with early exit protection. That means that if the player in your eligible NFL prop bet goes down at any point in the first half, you still get paid in cash. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code 6sports. That's code SICKSPORTS, all caps, no spaces. That's code 6sports to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over, age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
Yes, sir. And with that, welcome back to Sick Podcast Anvil Show. Let's just go ahead and get this kicked off right with that anvil. Yes, sir. And we are back just giving you everything Colts. I am CJ. I have with me Pat. And you don't see Clyde here because he is on his third vacation this year. Just kidding. Hey, happy anniversary to Clyde and his lovely lady. Like I said, hope you guys are enjoying yourself. Mrs. Clyde, or I would say, if I knew her name, I would say Mr. whatever his wife's name is, but we're going to get to that later. We'll figure that out. But either way, we're here to talk Colts with you, right? And I know, like I said, Colts are in the playoffs. We don't like it. It stinks. But you know what? We still got some things to talk about. So once again, just make sure that we're here. Before we get anything started, want to make sure that we shout out the chat already going crazy. Hey, shout out to Kevin, Stacy, Josh, Peyton. Like I said, welcome in everybody wherever you're watching from. Make sure that you're liking, sharing, letting the other Colts fans know exactly what it is. How are we feeling today, Pat?
Cold.
Yes.
Been, tying down the house, getting ready for this storm coming this weekend.
Yeah. For wherever you are, if you're in one of the states that they're expecting to have, crazy weather, hopefully you're safe. Hopefully you're able to, just have minimal damage, if not maybe no damage at all. Just like I said, praying that you guys and everybody is okay. But yeah, so just wanted to make sure we get that out the way because we're expecting to get some of that crazy weather too. So yeah, it's a little bit nuts that what they're talking about, what we're supposed to be getting out here. So, but in the meantime, so hey, by the way, I know this is a Colts podcast, but we'd be remiss if we didn't shout out to the IU Hoosiers. Shout out Signetti, Mendoza.
Hoosiers!
Yep. Hey, listen, they went out there. They did exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, they capped off the perfect season with a national championship. Shout out to IU, man. They just went out there and they got it done. So definitely want to make sure we shout them out because we wouldn't be an Indianapolis podcast without, shouting out everybody or anybody successful in Indiana. So appreciate y'all. Great job.
My drive, let alone yours. You don't want to call me to shovel.
Mm-mm. Yeah, that absolutely not. And then Josh says he said he's getting -40 wind chill. Listen, I don't know what part of Antarctica you're in, but you need to move, Bucko,
That ain't
because that
Antarctica.
is
That's
crazy.
Siberia.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Siberia. Well, wherever you are that has a area or a cut at the end, just get away from there. So yeah, we're just gonna go with that for now. But you know what? We got some things that we need to discuss, right? So
Yeah,
Northwest
stories
Illinois,
came
no,
out.
that's
It's
crazy.
not real good.
Yeah. So for anybody who hasn't seen, there was an independent report today that the FBI is currently investigating the doctor who was responsible for administering the medication that ultimately cost Jim Irsay his life. And they're saying that there may have been some foul play involved because the doctor said that it was natural death as opposed to what it was, where it looked like it was just an overdose of medications that were supposed to be administered. Um, Not the best news at all.
Not good at all.
No, and I think this is something that's very, very, very tough to hear because of the fact that, like I said, it's just I think everybody wanted to know what it was coming out, and then when they talked about like what may have been or what happened, then they're saying, oh well, it was drug related, and then people started talking about his past again. When really this situation looks like it was just more so him just having to or I'm going to say him having the issue with just trusting somebody to do something for him as simple as administer medications that ended up maybe just doing some foul play. So,
Very possible.
yeah.
At this point, this is when it happened. Everybody kind of had a feeling it might have been another overdose.
Yeah.
But nothing came out that indicated that way until now.
Yeah.
Nothing that I've read says the FBI is looking into the girls, anybody in the organization. They're just looking at this doctor.
Yeah, just the doctor, yes.
That's what I've read so far. Now we will stay up with this story for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That was our boss man.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, it's tough.
Nobody wants things like that to happen.
Yep. So, I mean, hopefully there is some justice that's going to be done for it. I mean, I hope that there was no foul play, but if there was, I hope the doctor gets the full extent of the law because, whether it's Ursay or anybody else, it's just like, that's just unfortunate for that to happen.
It is. Doctors take an oath just like soldiers do.
Mm-hmm.
If a soldier steps out of line, he deals with the full force of the UCMJ. Doctor gets out of line, he should deal with the full force of the Department of Justice. Absolutely.
Yep. So, I mean, that's unfortunate. And like I said, hopefully, the girls are able to just continue on and, just be able to not just necessarily recover, but I'm just going to say just continue to deal with this. Because like I said, it's just like it's always unfortunate when this happens to a parent, but this is something major. So, yeah. So just want to make sure, we go ahead and just cover that. So once again, rest in peace to Jim Irsay. Just going to make sure that we go ahead and just move forward from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And at this point, that's all we can do. Seek justice if there was foul play and move forward.
Yep, absolutely. And so moving forward onto the team-related things, right? So last week we went over the upcoming free agent list. And so when last week we went over the upcoming free agent list, we saved Daniel Jones for last, but we ran out of time. But I think it's pretty interesting because I think you and I, we both said, yes, you re-signed Daniel Jones. But I also think that there's more to it than just re-signing him because if you would have asked me what you're potentially re-signing him for in the middle of the season, when everything was good, when we were, 8-2, the numbers probably were a little bit different as opposed to now where because of the injuries, because of how things have looked, it's just like the idea of how much to pay him might have changed a little bit.
It's possible. But if you know what you're getting, are you going to try to negotiate and lowball? Because he can walk. He can walk. He does not have to. He does not have to sign here. He is a free agent. I do not believe they can put the franchise tag on him.
Well, so the thing is, I don't think it's that they can't. I just think it's that they won't. And the only reason why I would think they won't is because of the fact that you have because of the fact that there has been any moves yet. Now, mind you, everything that we're assuming is everything is just being assumed that there's nothing done, and we're not doing anything along those lines. So ultimately, I think that if we're just thinking of ideally, what we do is we would just make it so that if need be, if you don't sign a deal with Alec Pierce ends up getting the tag. And then I think you have the means to I'm going to say, set things up with Daniel. Now, there's a couple reasons why I think that Daniel wouldn't go anywhere, or he would possibly be why there would be compromise in negotiations, right? So first thing, what other spot ideally is going to be better than the situation that he was in this particular year?
Doesn't matter. Chris, I'm telling you right now, it doesn't matter. He holds all the cards. If you're Chris Ballard and you try to come in and you lowball him, it ain't going to happen, regardless of the injury or not. He's got you under a barrel. You have no first-round picks for 2 years. You have no viable starting quarterback in your locker room. There's no one better that's going to come out in free agency that you can replace him with. He holds all the cards.
And so I get that, but I just don't believe that it's one of those situations that's just cut and dry, right? Because let's just say, for example, the Raiders go out there, it's almost completely assumed that they're getting Mendoza.
Of course.
And then after that, the QB pool isn't really that big, or at least that big for what you're looking at. Outside of us, you're looking at the Jets. You don't know whether Minnesota would be aggressive in going after him because they have McCarthy there. Who's still on Yeah, so you don't know exactly what that would be. And then outside of that, where else is somebody looking for a quarterback that doesn't already have one on the roster that's getting paid?
Arizona. Yeah, they're about to walk away from Kyler. You can take that to the bank.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you cut him, you actually are taking a cap hit.
Yeah, we've seen worse.
Yeah, but the thing.
Look what New York just signed Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
Then they started that season. He made it halfway, and they cut him. Brand new contract. Didn't even have a year under his belt on his contract, and they still cut him. We've seen crazier things happen.
No, we have, but also when it came to New York was able to come back around and draft Jackson Dart. Where I mean, honestly, if you put Jackson,
they had the picks. We do not.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, okay, so no, and I'm not even talking about picks. I'm just talking about location, because what we're looking at right now is. I don't think that Chris Ballard would say, okay, we're going to give you 1 year, $10 million. Absolutely not.
No.
But I do believe that you have a means to be able to say, hey, you had, X amount that you were signed for, or we have this much that we're working with, right? Here's what we can do. because we definitely want to have you. We know that you were successful. I think Shane is another big part of that because of their relationship, how they work together. So I do believe that you could potentially sign him to a deal where, let's just say, you could sign him to 3 years, $100 million, right? But then here's where things become a little bit different, because now you can look at possibly just going ahead and pushing, things down the line where you would have void years, or having things where you'd be able to convert to signing bonus as opposed to actual salary cap. I think that's where things are a little bit different, because now you're going to have opportunities to be able to re-sign him. And honestly, he's still reaping the benefits of the contract that he had with New York.
Yep.
So, to me, I don't necessarily think it would be about money as much as it is about scheme fit and exactly what it was. Like, this was the most successful year that he had, and you saw how he was on a historic pace prior to the injury. But I think the injury worked against him because he was hurt again.
And in a normal NFL season, yeah, you're 100% right. But in this one, I don't think you're right in it. You could be. I could be completely wrong. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to happen. But I'm just saying, I believe Daniel Jones holds all the cards on the negotiation table with this franchise. Okay, now can he take his chances elsewhere? Absolutely. But now, coming back to reality, I do believe Daniel Jones is going to sign a cap-friendly deal.
Okay.
We have a lot of stars that made him look real good, like AD. Yeah. Josh Downs will be coming up next year. He needs these weapons to be the quarterback he wants to be. Without the weapons, he knows what's going to happen. So I do think he takes a cap-friendly deal, allows Ballard to bring back the pieces he wants, go into the draft, and get him more weapons, or get defense.
Yeah, I think you absolutely got to go.
And it could be easily done with the guaranteed money, with the signing bonus, and however else ways they move the math around on paper.
Yeah,
I think it can be done. I think it will get done. So I don't want anybody out there in TV land thinking, I'm saying Daniel Jones is going to get $250 million for 4 years. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I believe he holds all the cards, but I also believe he wants to be here. He needs the weapons, or he's going to be right back in a New York Giants situation with one, maybe two weapons on that roster. Here, he's got multiple weapons that are serious threats. He's going to want to be here. He's going to want those guys here. So I think he will sign a cap-friendly deal, with the guarantees and the signing bonuses and all that stuff. That's my belief. Now, you can believe one way, you can believe another way, and everybody's way's wrong until Ballard gets the deal done. We'll find out.
Yeah. And by the way, hey, shout out to Derek, shout out to Teresa jumping in, just talking about Daniel Jones and exactly where to go from here with him.
And sorry about the early start tonight, you guys. The producers hit us up, asked if we can go early because they got a lot of stuff going on, and we're like, sure, yeah, we can. Clyde's on vacation anyways, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Or he's not on vacation. He's enjoying time with his wife on his anniversary. So happy anniversary
on
Mr.
vacation.
Clyde. Well, whatever it may be. I ain't gonna bust him up today because it's his anniversary. Family time's well-deserved time.
Absolutely. And you know what? And while we're talking here, because like I said, I know that it's the lull of the off season. But here's what we're gonna do, because like I said, we always talk about it and we never get to it because we always just sit here and just talk for the entire time. As we talk, we're going to have questions. I already see that there's questions coming in.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that we get things answered. So tonight we're going to actually be a little bit more, I'm going to say, viewer centric, right? So any questions that you guys have, turkey legs. They call you turkey legs. They be like turkey legs. Hey,
Who calls me turkey legs?
I'm calling you turkey legs. I think Stacy called you turkey legs.
Oh, she says happy anniversary.
Oh no, she's talking about Clyde. She's talking about Clyde.
Oh, Stacy, it's gonna get you on the list.
Oh, yeah, she, yeah. But like I said, and I see
right,
questions.
We'll defend you.
We got questions about the draft. We got questions about free agency. I know that there was a couple of them. So, Sammy, if you could, can you go to Josh's first question? It says, "So you're saying someone killed a man?" Allegedly, because like I said,
we're not saying it.
We're not saying that.
What we read.
Exactly. So what was insinuated is the fact that the medical overdose that they're claiming that he had wasn't something that was just something that he did. They're saying that he actually, like I said, it was something that was given to him by a trusted doctor that might have given him too much. So we're not saying that. That's just what we read. So allegedly, that is the case. All right. And then go to the next question. They said, so you're saying, or not so you're saying, it's any relevant DTs available in free agency.
I have not opened that book up. Who asked that question?
Josh again.
Josh. Yeah, sorry, Josh. I haven't personally opened up the free agent book just because I like to wait until after the Super Bowl. Don't ask me why, but there's going to be players on the teams that are still playing that could be free agents at the end of the year, and they'll sign them right away.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have to go back, make a list, and then go back and start immediately crossing people off. I'd rather give it a couple of days after the Super Bowl, a week, and then I will jump into the free agent list. That's how I do it.
Yeah.
So honestly, Joshua, I can't give you an answer right now. I haven't looked.
Yeah, so I can actually give you a few, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. It was looking like a retirement home. You have David Onyemata from Atlanta, 33 years old. DJ Reader, 31. Daquan Jones, 34. John Franklin Myers from Denver. He's 29. Larry Ogunjobi, 31. Sebastian Joseph, 30. DJ Wanham, 28. Cameron Jordan, 36. Calais Campbell, 39. Sheldon Rankins, 31. Tierre Tart. So, I mean, honestly, this list, you unless somebody unexpected hits free agency, this is going to be a tough one in terms of interior D lineman. So, and then Teresa said, "What's up, Chris and Big P? What's going on, Teresa?" And then, so like I said, so right now, and I think also just leading up to the draft, right? Because I think they just announced like some of the players to watch for the East-West Shrine game. I think we're going to start seeing who some of those prospects are, especially coming out, because, we're going to be looking at that. You're going to potentially be definitely be looking at the Senior Bowl, because we know that, Chris Ballard treats the Senior Bowl like it's a birthday party. So, he's going to be there. He's going to be dressed to the nines, and he's going to love all the guys that he sees. Pause. Because, he's going to be looking to go ahead and cash in. So, just want to make sure we go ahead and just have that one squared away. So, but
I don't know why you continue to beat up my daddy.
So first off, that is a diabolical statement in and of itself.
It is. So leave him alone.
I can reassure you, he deserves everything that I say.
Only because the win-loss record isn't there.
Yeah, but no, it's not just because of that. It's also because of the fact that, like I said, it's just like I personally just disagree with the way that he goes about building a competitive roster.
Okay, but you have the option of hindsight's 2020. He doesn't.
But
and I guess I don't know, Chris. That's why I guess I don't get too involved in who was a bust here and who wasn't a bust there. You know, sure, we could have drafted DK Metcalf when he came out. He was available, but all the signs, all the reports were showing that you really don't want the guy.
Well, yeah. I didn't have a problem.
But
yeah,
he turned it around. He came out. He got professional, and he killed it. So when you're drafting, you can't look back and think, oh, this guy, he's a troublemaker, but he's probably going to, get his head out of his ass and do well at this level. You can't do that. You got to look at the character of those players because you believe that character is going to carry over into this level. So I'm not one to sit and say, oh, well, we drafted Paris Campbell and we could have had Scary Terry. We could have had Metcalf. We could have. Yes, you're 100% right. We could have because they were still on the board. But I trust what they do. I trust how they judge these guys. So I don't get too wrapped up in we should have drafted him over him.
I don't think it's necessarily about we should have drafted him over him. It's not. So for me, I'm not looking at the players, right? I'm looking at what in your process has you drafting very similar in every single draft, right? Because this was somebody who before
we could process.
Yeah, but
everybody has a process how they do things. Go cut your grass. I guarantee you got to process the way you cut your grass.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be different than the way I cut my grass. Yeah. Everybody has their process. Now, you can change it mid-season. You can change it every other season. Your process. Yeah. But that's you doing it.
Absolutely. But I think what's being lost is the fact that when I'm talking about the process and when I'm talking about the way that you're going about building the team, the process has always remained the same no matter what the results are. I think I think maybe the one or two guys that he's went against the grain with in terms of drafting or getting the people. Well, I'll say three. The three guys is Shaq Leonard. Mm-hmm. Then you have, I think, Latu, because Latu was more so, I think you saw that there was athleticism where he was going to be able to not just rush the passer, but also be able to drop in the coverage. And then for the very last one, I think is Tyler Warren. But the thing is, once again, I think Tyler Warren was more so, to me personally, and like I said, you and I agreed when it came down to how we wanted it, because we both agreed that we wanted defense. And so, but the thing is, I think with Tyler Warren was kind of like, oh yeah, that's definitely the pick. But outside of that, it's just like the process hasn't been the actual process, because he's loved the late round picks. He's been a late round pick guy for the majority of his career, where he will constantly trade down, make sure that he gets those 4 through 7 picks. And if it's a day 3 pick or something like that, then he's just like, oh yeah, absolutely. But more recently, we've seen that the investment into those later round picks hasn't been there to justify continuously moving down.
Now, if you find a flaw in his process, let's talk about that. Like what you just said.
Yeah. I'm not saying that he's I'm not saying that he's an absolute bum and that he needs to be, shot out of a rocket into space. I'm not saying that. but what I am saying is that
now they'll be giving Elon Musk no ideals over here now. You know we're live on his platform.
Yeah, he could take that Starlink and do whatever he needs to with it. But ultimately, if I'm like Chris Ballard has now aged out of his own philosophy. Because, like I said, it's just like those late round picks that he prided himself on, those guys that he's just like, oh yeah, well they'll be eventual starters or whatever it is. He's no longer even going and keeping those guys long enough to say, oh yeah, he's going to definitely be the guy at the end of it all. And that's my biggest thing when it comes down to him. Like, it's not, like I said, it's just like, he's a great guy. We interviewed him. We had a chance
to draft these kids to coach them up, get them ready. And before that even hits, you let them go. No, I get it. I absolutely get it. But yeah, there's only so many seats on the bus, man.
Yeah, there are. But here's the thing.
So when you start for me, if I was to be sitting down right in front of him and we're just talking casual, and like, man, Chris, what do you are you going to change your philosophy, your process any? Why don't you take 2 or 3 of the late rounds and try to move up to our higher round? What's wrong with that? Do that. And this really comes from Clyde and the way Clyde thinks. Your talent is higher in the upper part of the draft versus talent at the lower part. It's not always the case. I don't even know what a percentage is, but my rebuttal to that, to my own point, is we've seen many 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round picks become superstars. And we've seen many 1st round picks become bust. Yeah. So you're really sitting on a bench, going through your process, and once you get through that process and you grab your guy, now all you can do is pray that he lives up to the expectations, because it's out of your hands. I mean, it's not the military. They can't get in there and force people to do this way, force people to do that. There certain ways they can discipline players, sure, but they can't physically force them. So if the player doesn't want to evolve into the star that the organization believes he can become, that's on him. And I'm not going to put that on the coach. I'm not going to put that on the GM. I put that on the player. If you don't want to come to meetings, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the team. If you don't want to do the extra work, you're hurting yourself, you're hurting the team. We've seen it in this organization, and we've seen it throughout the NFL. Because most of us here that are talking or watching this program have followed football for more than a few years. We've seen it all. So at this point, after seeing it all, what the hell do you do? You can change everything about it, but at the end of the day, it still comes down to that draft pick and his motivation to go from a draft pick to a star. And it takes a lot of hard work and dedication to make that leap. So it doesn't matter what process you have. It doesn't matter if you change it 15 friggin' times a year. Because at the end of the day, it is always going to come down to whether that player that you draft becomes a star from his work ethic and his ambitions and his drive. It's always going to come down to that. Always. This ain't football of the 70s. Football in the 70s was different.
Yeah.
Versus it is today. These kids are coming out of college, millionaires already. What motivation do they got? In the 70s, in the 80s, their motivation was become a star, get the big payday. Because that's the only way you're going to get a big payday.
Yeah.
You're going to make a good living. You're going to be on TV. You're going to have a hot wife, but you're not getting that big payday unless you hit that star status. They had motivation back then to hit that star status. These kids coming out of college today, they don't have that motivation. This is my opinion, because it doesn't lay true to every draftee coming out.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't take away from the fact that it doesn't matter your process, doesn't matter your talent level. At the end of the day, the only thing that matters is where's your drive, where's your motivation, and where do you want to be in this league? Do you just want to be a rotational player? Come in, play a few years, go home. Do something else. Start a car wash. Open a Starbucks. Who knows?
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Look at all the GMs throughout the entire history of this league. They've all faced the same damn thing. Every one of them. So I won't just beat up coaches and GMs and front office people because we sucked. Because evidently they've got the talent to be there, but they didn't have the drive, the motivation to take the next level for themselves. And when a player takes that next level for themselves, it elevates the team and it elevates everybody around the team. But when you have so-called number ones not coming to meetings, not doing the extra things, it's going to have the reverse effect on your team.
Yeah, but so I get that. I understand where you're coming from, but we also have to be as real as possible, because we got to get back to what we're talking about. If we're talking about guys not coming to meetings, okay, that's fine. Like, that's 100% valid, because then it's just like you absolutely have to show up. You have to show up and do your job, because that's what you're drafted for. That's what it is. But what I'm talking about in terms of what this team is, what we've done or what we haven't done in however so many years, is talking about the fact that at this point, and I know that's your daddy, that's that's who, like that's Chris Ballard. I understand exactly what that is. We also can't just skim over the fact that even when everything is where it is, even with these players, we could talk about NIL, but thing is, Chris Ballard's been here before NIL really boomed over the last few years. And even then, we were still dealing with the same thing. So if we're being completely real about it, we can talk about the fact that we're not going to allow him to be able to get away with, because the thing is, you brought up NIL, you brought up guys not coming to meetings, you brought up all this other stuff, but at the end of the day, that doesn't absolve him from the fact that he hasn't built a truly competitive product in years.
Okay, you wasn't saying this when we was 8-1.
Yeah, because
now,
the thing is,
what happened in this year? Still have no freaking clue. What the hell? No, what the hell happened? But we were looking at this team, and we're finally saying, finally, we have a competitive team. And then the wheels fell off, and we no longer had that competitive team. So when he had luck, he had a competitive team, and he was building on that. We lose luck. Well, quarterback hell for 37 fucking years. Then we get Daniel Jones, and things are starting to click. Everybody's playing right. Everybody is doing what they're supposed to do, and then some. And then for some reason, it all went to hell. I don't know why.
Well, it's just
still haven't figured it out. And I don't think we'll know until the 30 on 30 is done on this season for the Colts. But he can draft. He can get the talent. We've seen it. We've seen what's on this team, is all I'm saying. Now, has he missed in the draft? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying, he's God's first choice for GMs. I'm not saying that, because he has missed. But look at the ones that he hasn't missed on. It's a lot of talent on this team.
But that's the when we're talking about what he hasn't missed on, right? Absolutely. Because we can say he hasn't missed on Q. He hasn't missed on JT. Hell, we can say that for the most part, he hasn't missed on the O-line. But then when we're looking at much of what we've had, we're not just talking about the guys that are currently on the team now. We're talking about the guys who were supposed to be the guys who filled out the roster that just ended up never doing so, whether it be injury, whether it just be lack of talent. Mind you, we had like Tyler Warren 100% had a fantastic rookie year. I mean, you could say that if everything lined up, he probably would have been able to do better than he did. But because of, like I said, circumstances, it wasn't the case. Before we got Tyler Warren, you got some time out of Ogletree. You got some things here and there, but that was a tight end room that was extremely forgettable. We signed Charvarius Ward, you signed Sauce Gardner, and then you signed Kenny, 2017, 2018? I think it was the year that Luck came back for that 1 year. You had Kenny Moore at that particular time, and ever since then, when it came to corner, you've pretty much missed on that. For somebody who preaches edge the way that he does, who's preached ed. Now, mind you, I like Latu. Like, to me, I like Latu a lot. But he's missed on the one thing that he's always preached when it's come to defensive trenches. Because the most productive defensive players on that D-line are Buck, who was drafted by the 49ers, and it's Latu, who was drafted by us. That means that right now, when it comes to that line, or when it comes to that D-line, when it comes to those trenches that you preach so heavily, that you put so much emphasis on, you've missed more than you've made on something that still has to be corrected.
Okay. But again, why is it you're saying that this person or that person is a miss? Is it because they don't have the talent? Or is it because they didn't have the motivation and drive to take the next step?
Was Kwity Paye miss?
That's a fence post. It's to sit on right there. Because in some instances, you can say, yes, he was a miss. In some instances, you can say, no, he wasn't. So I'm sitting cheeks clenched on a fence with him.
Kwity Paye just played on, I believe it was a $13.5 million fifth-year option.
Okay.
Let's just say Kwity comes in the office. He says, I want 3 years, $48 million, $16 million a year. You paying him that?
Nope. But it's not necessarily because I think he's a bust. But I'm looking at his past performance and like, dude, you're not at that level. What are you doing to get to that level of money you want me to pay you?
But yes, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think
it's up to Kwity to master those spin moves, the swim move, the bull rush, and every damn thing else that they teach these guys. It's up to them. And he can, but he doesn't get to the quarterback consistently. So does that make him a bust because he's not consistent? You can say it, or you cannot.
But we can also say within that, once again, and I think this also, and mind you, I'm not just trying to dunk on Ballard, but I am just trying to point out the fact that Kwity Paye coming out of college wasn't even a true edge rusher in college. This was a guy who was a run stopper in college who was drafted to become an edge rusher. And so when we're talking, so what you're doing now is in this process, that process word again, in this process that you're talking about, you're taking a guy first round who isn't known for something to turn him into something that he wasn't during his whole entire college career. He had some flashes at that, yeah, but the thing is, you brought him in to be the missing piece to something that you knew for a fact that you needed, and you knew that you were going to have to develop him because of the fact that he didn't have the skill set to be able to do the job that you were bringing him in to do.
Okay. Would you say after Latu's first season that he was a bust?
No.
He wasn't in double-digit sacks last year.
No, absolutely not. But we also
he was drafted, 13, 14 to be that edge rusher, to get the pressure on the quarterback, to sack him. But he didn't even have 10. So you're going to say he's a bust?
No, the only reason why I'm saying he's not a bust is because of the fact that when Kwity came in, and I believe he came in and Eberflus was there. I believe his rookie season was Eberflus's last season, and they actually had him on the field as an actual pass rusher. They actually had him doing what he did. Latu played 50% of the defensive snaps. And guess what? And on top of that, when you brought, because we talked about this. We talked about the fact that you bring in Lou, you saw what Lou did with Trey Hendrickson, so you knew that he was going to be able to bring him in and basically make sure that he's doing what he does best, standing up. He can move around the line. He's going to be able to do it. And to that, he absolutely was successful, because we talked about Latu before the draft process, and then we also talked about Latu once we got Lou instead of having Gus Bradley. So we talked about that.
Yeah. So under one coach, Kwity did pretty damn good. Under another coach, he didn't. Under his third coach, he was mid this season.
He was mid at best.
Yeah, mid. Yeah. But so here comes back to my point. What are these players going to do? If you want to know if a player is going to be a star or not, follow them online. Because the players that are working off season post videos of their drills they're doing at their old high school all summer long. They post shit all summer long. Those are the ones that will become stars. The ones you don't see from aren't doing the extra work. I mean, they might be doing the work, but they're not doing the extra work. To me, that's the difference. Now, what can Ballard do in his process to find the guys that are going to do the work? Remember when Steichen's introduction press conference, he said, the quarterback I'm looking for is the quarterback that is in the building first and the last one to leave.
Yeah.
Okay. So the coaching staff is already looking for people like that. They want people like that, because that's what gets them from this level to the next, from that level to the next, is that extra work, that extra motivation, that extra dedication. Not everybody does it. Dude, I'm a millionaire. Why do you want me to come in here?
Yeah.
I'm good at what I do. I can stop the run. I don't need to come in, at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
And it's not just one player, and I'm not trying to point out anybody, so nobody take that, because the AR is still my guy. I don't want you guys to think that. I haven't given up on the AR. And I don't want to give up on AR. I've never seen a kid have that much talent in his life. Someone needs to get in his head and get him straightened out, and we are a dynasty immediately with that kid. So don't think I'm just trying to bash on one particular player, because I'm not. Because it's more than one.
Yeah. But once again, I think this also once again just goes back to what we've been saying, because we can talk about players all we want. We can talk about all of this, but the thing for me that has just been the resounding theme with everything that we talk about, whether it's talent, whether it's the work ethic that you want to talk about, whether it's everything within that mold, we've talked about the constant, like I said, we've changed owners, we've changed head coaches, we've changed coordinators, we've changed players, quarterbacks, every single thing that you can possibly think of with this team has changed in terms of the team structure and everything else, except for the GM. And that's the one constant. So if we want to talk about players, we want to talk about, how much things change, how much they do, whatever it is. It's just like we could talk about all of that, but we do have to talk about the one constant. And like I said, I know he is a great person to talk to, fantastic guy, smart, all these great things. But for me personally, if I'm looking at Chris with all these things that we know because of the fact that we talked to him and we understand who he is, we know that as a man, he is a man of morals, man of principle. He just is not a great GM. And I don't think that's unfair to say.
It's not. It's not unfair. Doesn't have the record to back it up. I won't try to rebuttal anybody that says it's time for him to go. In this league, you can prove it or lose it.
It's what have you done for me lately?
Yeah,
and the thing is,
absolutely.
lately it's been more of the same. We saw that last season was the one season where he went outside of what he normally does, and of course it was successful up front. But the funny thing about what you mentioned is the fact that why wasn't this mentioned? It's because of the fact that this team was showing exactly what their moxie was when you have all the cards in front of you. But the problem is, it's just like when our backs were against the wall, we folded.
Yeah,
we didn't have he is somebody who preaches depth to the core, and we hear depth more than anything else. We've probably heard the word depth out of his mouth about 500 times for his whole tenure, and yet when things started to break down, we did not have the depth to be able to survive.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that's aggravating as all day long. It really is, Chris.
Yeah, so I mean, it's what it is. But like I said, we got a couple more questions. I didn't even realize we were at 53 minutes, but we have a couple more questions, and then we're gonna go ahead and bounce up out of here.
See what happens when you let me start talking about Ballard?
Yeah, exactly. You get too excited.
We have a lot of fun.
You got a man crush. So Paul Legaspi, he says I want to know what you all think that the Colts have more couch coaches than any other team, always saying what we need. He needs to be blah, 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 blah. But yet these same people can't even figure out how to change the tire or make any correct decisions in their own lives. Sorry, end of rant. You know what? I think at the end of the day, it's one of those things where we see something and we're just like, that needs to change. Like, something needs to change, because I think what we're doing is we see the end result isn't matching what it is. If you told me when we were 8-2 that everything was going to happen and that we were going to end up being a team that loses the next 7, I probably would have laughed in your face. But then after seeing exactly how things happen, it's very easy to see in hindsight exactly what lined up. Now, mind you, there are some people who are very overreactionary. There were people who were saying that Daniel Jones when he was at his peak, should have gotten $50 million, or was going to get $50 million a year. But, looking back now, we're now looking like, hey, what would be something suitable? And then we're talking about something like $30 million. So, I mean, I think everybody has an opinion. We all fan differently. So, like I said, I don't I'm going to say I'm not going to mock anybody for, just believing something or saying what it is. It's just like that's what they believe.
You got any other questions you want to get to real quick?
Yeah, Teresa says, do y'all think we'll trade AR to who for what? We can't even give him away. I think you could still. I think if you do trade him, you can possibly get like maybe some late round picks for him. But yeah, I think that's pretty much just what it's going to be. Maybe around like 5th or 6th, if that's the case.
Yeah, it could be. I said earlier, I don't want to give up on the kid, so
yeah,
I'm not going to go in that trade conversation, Teresa, because I'm just not giving up on the kids yet.
Yeah. And then she also says we're keeping Pearson Jones as a top priority, right? Absolutely. Like without a doubt. She also said, are we getting rid of JBC? I don't think getting rid of JBC. I think he's interviewed for Philly's OC position. Also, Lou interviewed for the Bills head coach position today too. So
I saw that.
Yeah. So I don't think that we'll fire anybody. Anybody that's left the staff or like Charlie Partridge, he went to Notre Dame to be their defensive coordinator over there. So
yeah,
he went back. So we haven't fired anybody.
If we lose him, okay. It happens in this league. You lose players, you lose coaches every year. So is it going to suck? Could be. But the next guy they bring in, could he be better? Could be. Well, that one is one of those wait and sees. I hate that we could lose Lou. Yeah. I hate that. I really and truly do. But JBC, I'm okay if he goes. I'm okay if he stays. Because Shane makes all the play calls.
Yeah, so, he does. Yeah.
So I'm not even an offensive-minded guy, and I could be the OC for the Colts.
So with that being
said, you ain't got to do nothing.
Yeah, or Cam Turner because he's awful. So yes. So then with that being said,
that's the quarterback coach, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He stinks. But here we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. So before we do, make sure that you are liking, sharing, subscribing, all the great things, especially on the YouTube. Make sure that you do that, and make sure that you share the YouTube as well. Got a lot of content coming up. We should be going and hitting the combine at the end of February, so that'll be pretty dope. And then also you can find us on Twitter, or find me on Twitter at CJ Colts Fan. Pat, where can they find you?
You can find me at Colts Forged on the X.
All right. And can you please bring up the handle for the podcast page? Yep. And you can find us at Sick Pod Culture. You'll be able to find clips of this episode and previous episodes. Also find links to where you can listen to those or stream those live. Make sure that you are going to z103.com and Mix 105 every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 a.m. Central, because they'll have the replays of that episode. You can download the Z103.com app, and then also you can listen to Mix 105, I believe, online as well, where Mix 105 will be able to do it. And if you want to know other ways to get connected with Mix 105, make sure that you go to their Facebook page, where you'll be able to see the links for everywhere that they have something going on. Very great organization, very charitable radio station. Awesome. Definitely a great thing. So definitely make sure you check them out. And then also, can you please bring up Visit Indy? All right. And make sure that you scan that QR code. I think Pat McAfee just announced their partnership with Visit Indy the other day, where, like I said,
28.
Yep. They're locking it up till 2028. Everything. So you know that there's mass upgrades coming. There's going to be some great things that you'll be able to do on there. If you go to Visit Indy, you see everything going on in the Indianapolis area. They have all those great things. And so, like I said, you'll be able to go on, see exactly what they have to offer. Definitely a dope website that you want to go ahead and check out. And then also, please bring up the youth football camps. All right. Well, as of
Come on, Sammy, get on the ball.
Coming up this May, you're going to have the opportunity to go ahead if you have any kids or any football age kids that are looking to play, or I'm going to say come out to camps. They're going to be hosting camps again. We had a camp last year with Josh Downs and his family. We had a camp with Kenny Moore. This year, we're following it up, and actually we're going to have two players from offense. We'll actually have Josh Downs and Tyler Warren. They'll be May of this year. The location will be announced soon. Make sure that you get onto youthfootballcamp.com and make sure that you have your kids registered as soon as possible. They'll be able to go ahead and just interact with the kids. I know Josh was out there. He made sure that he played with all the kids on the field. Same with Drew Ogletree. He came through. And then for Kenny's camp, Kenny was out there playing pickup with him, Jalen Jones. Drew came to that one as well. So definitely a great time and a great opportunity for kids. And like I said, they just get to be out there with the players that they see on TV every Sunday. So make sure that you go ahead and register for that. Also, VIP One Lounge Extra, 5 o'clock p.m. UK time. That's 12 o'clock Eastern. So make sure that you go ahead and watch that. That'll also be on Wednesday. But other than that, yeah, we're all good. Unless there's anything else, Pat?
That's it for me.
All right. Well, with that being said, guys, like I said, I know it's like crazy weather coming up. Please be safe. Praying that everybody is able to stay warm. Hopefully, like I said, you guys are safe. Definitely. We will see you next week. Until then, Sammy, bring us out.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Anvil Show on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.